Once upon a time, our health minister Alain Berset made a promise to the people and broke it.
The first vaccine against the coronavirus is approved by Swiss Medic. It can be used, and that is very good news. The vaccine is effective, safe. It was tested just as rigorously as any other vaccine before it comes to market here, and that means in the next few days we will start vaccinating. The first priority is for particularly vulnerable people, the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions. This vaccination is not mandatory, but it is strongly recommended, and above all, it is free. This vaccine is a very important step for all of us to consider an exit from the crisis. But the vaccine does not solve all our problems, because we know it will still take a lot of time until there are enough people vaccinated to stop the epidemic. And until then, well, we will have to rely on our own strength to fight this virus with rules that are very well known and very simple. Wash hands, keep distances, wear a mask, and reduce contacts as much as possible.
This was the biggest lie to the people and all healthcare workers in Switzerland. We are stopping this lie now.
The persecution of critics since the corona period is even more massive than previously assumed. It has now become known, in Germany alone, more than 1,500 cases were conducted due to the issuance of mask certificates. And these are only the data from 5 federal states, so only 1/3 of the German population. Primarily, doctors are affected, but also patients who are accused of incitement, that is, having pressured the doctor to issue the certificates. Of these over 1,500 cases in Germany alone, more than 400 led to a conviction. Data analyst Tom Lawson compiled the cases based on official information from the public prosecutors' offices in Berlin, Rhineland-Palatinate, Hamburg, Saxony, and Baden-Württemberg. They were now published on the website of the initiative Doctors with Conscience, which was launched this week jointly by the Medical Association MWGFD and the Swiss Association WIR. With this initiative, a face is given to the courageous doctors who, during the corona period, stood up for the well-being of their patients and thereby risked their entire careers. Currently, the first cases from 4 countries have already been compiled, from Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and France. Drastic example, the Dr. Bianca Witschel, who is still currently in custody for issuing mask exemptions. But many other doctors were also prosecuted for mask exemptions, such as Monika Young, Ronny Weikel, Thomas Kulken, or Carola Jabit-Kistel. The physician Lucas Trimmo was also subjected to disciplinary proceedings by the Medical Association because he publicly warned about the dangers of the COVID shot. Co-initiator and MWGFD Vice Chairman Dr. Ronny Weikel says about the actions against the courageous doctors:
it is a far-reaching scandal that one can only be dissatisfied with. And it is a shame that to this day, where we actually know exactly and can prove that this corona, this so-called pandemic, which is nothing more than a plandemic, followed an agenda that was planned from the beginning to carry out something to the detriment of humanity, a quasi-military action. This is now documented by X documents, and the doctors who stood up to protect their patients are still not rehabilitated. Numerous doctors in various countries have had to endure prosecutions.
With the initiative Doctors with Conscience, it should also be demonstrated that Federal Health Minister Nina Warken's statement that there are no doctors persecuted because of corona in Germany is not true. The international results will also be brought to the United States and presented to U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Already, the president of the Swiss Association WIR, Christian Oesch, addressed Kennedy with a letter reporting on the persecution of doctors in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Oesch writes literally to the U.S. health minister, what is often officially labeled as fraud often actually concerns doctors who have acted according to their professional judgment, conscience, and ethical obligation in the spirit of the Hippocratic Oath. Indeed, reizend Everschietzes in die And Ush continues, what happens to medicine when conscience becomes a legal risk? COVID critics are still being defamed by the mainstream media, as recently demonstrated by the example of the Swiss national ice hockey coach Patrick Fischer. He was even dismissed. On will continue to do everything possible to not withhold the fates of these brave people from you. You can support this at www.offeins.tv unterstützen.
When medical conscience is punished more harshly than violent crime. In Germany, doctors are being sentenced to years in prison, not because they harmed patients, but because they examined them and certified what was medically obvious, that a mask is contraindicated in severe asthma, that a vaccination should not be administered with a known autoimmune disease, that the duty of medical care must be placed above a political regulation. 2 years and 9 months in prison was the sentence for a doctor who issued mask exemptions after individual examinations with documented indications. In the same period, a German court sentenced a prosecutor who had raped his own 8-year-old son to 1.5 years suspended. One must place these two verdicts side by side to understand which values a society actually protects and which it abandons. The message to the medical profession is unmistakable. Whoever opposes the political consensus, even on the basis of a medical examination, even to protect the patient, will be existentially destroyed. Loss of medical license, practice closure, house search, prison. And those who are not imprisoned are silenced in other ways. Hundreds of doctors have spent years in a state of legal limbo. Their cases are neither dismissed nor heard. They are trapped in a gray zone where any public statement can be deemed prejudicial to proceedings. Those who defend themselves risk an escalation of charges. Those who remain silent are forgotten. It is hard not to see calculation in this. The mere existence of open proceedings disciplines more reliably than any verdict. This platform documents what must not be forgotten. Every single case, so that individual cases become a complete picture and silence becomes an indictment.